Real Estate Rewired.
Do you think AI can be the great equalizer for small to medium-sized brokerages to compete against the Compasses and the Keller Williams because of the power of it if used correctly?
Okay, so I think the key to that phrase that you just said, if used correctly. So I've
Correct.
always believed, and I've said this for years, it's technology in addition to the human relationship, not instead of.
Right.
And I think so many people are going the instead of route right now. And I think that is the mistake because the consumer doesn't want it.
Welcome to Real Estate Rewired AI with a Heart with Gus Waite, where we talk all things real estate and AI. And my guest today is Shad Boucher, managing broker at RE/MAX Alliance Group out of Tampa, Florida, 22 years in the business, voted the #1 broker manager in the country by RE/MAX in 2018. He helped build RE/MAX Capital Realty from scratch in 2014 into a brokerage that merged into a 400-agent operation, doing over $2.5 billion in production. Most brokers I talk to just talk about AI. Chad has been running AI sessions for his agents since 2023. He's an expert in the sales intelligence platform. He's been thinking about data, CRMs, agent productivity longer than most people in the space have been licensed. He calls himself a tech guru. And I'm really interested to talk to you, Shad. Thank you and welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
So let's do the backstory. I always like to start with most 10-year-olds don't say, hey, I want to be a real estate broker when I grow up.
Nope.
So how did you get into this crazy space?
So basically, a long time ago, I was selling luxury watches and sunglasses. I had a gentleman approach me and I sold him some very high-end stuff. He said he was the cheapest person around and that if I was doing this, I should be doing real estate. He basically sponsored me to go into the real estate space, and he's my first broker, eventually became my father-in-law.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And then basically, I was a high-producing agent back in the day, but I was always a tech guy. So my father was one of the first people in mobile telecom. I had a pager in the 80s, and I was a guinea pig. My dad would beep me to come home. So most kids came home, streetlights came on, you came home.
Right.
I would get a page. Now, all it did was beep. It didn't have a screen, didn't do anything. Then he'd get home. How far were you from the house? Where were you at? So I didn't realize at the time he was guinea pigging me for the range on this stupid thing.
Wow.
And then, we had cell phones. I mean, I had a cell phone in the 90s. I've grown up with, and my dad was always an early adopter. He had a CD player in the house when there was only 3 CDs they sold in the store. Thank goodness Hall & Oates was one of them because the other one was Beethoven and Lawrence Welk. But I've always been bleeding edge, and that's kind of where I've got. So I've always kind of done that with my real estate business as well. I early adopted online leads. Most people don't realize the very first platform for that was called Point 2 Agent. Point 2 Systems is the company. Wish I could go back to those days because I used to get about a 40% return rate on those leads. But yeah, I had a BlackBerry before everybody else. I've always been tech forward. So when this whole thing with AI came up, I've been watching it for years. And when the LLMs finally released, I was like, okay, this is going to change. This is going to change everything. And depending on how you use it, for the better or for the worse.
So really interesting. And we had talked a little bit before we started recording. In my experience with real estate agents, they're independent contractors. They're not on salary. Can't force them to do anything. They love to sell. They love to talk, love to be out there showing property, doing deals. But the rest of it, leave me alone. I don't want to learn a new CRM. I don't want to do drip marketing. I don't want to do social media. I don't want speed to lead. I don't want predictive analytics. I don't want to learn a new system. Don't give me new bells, and I don't want any of it. So how have you navigated the gap between the human resistance and the speed at which this technology is becoming available?
So I have to be the example. When they figure out, well, wait a minute, how are you posting a blog a day? How are you able to answer me this quickly? How are you getting this done? And then I say, oh, Well, let me introduce you to Val, my personal assistant. Well, I want a personal assistant. Yeah, let me show you. Because that's the one thing that I think every single agent wants. They want an assistant and they don't want to pay for it. And so when you show them what AI can do in that realm, then you get their attention. Then it's about getting them to understand the prompting and to understand all the other stuff that comes with AI, learning and mastering it. But it's just slow. It's just being the example. Honestly,
Well,
it's being
it's
the
so
example.
interesting, Shad, because this is my holy grail, and this is what I talk about. If we're just layering tools on top of dysfunction, it's just more chaos. And as you know, Shad, even being tech forward in this space, the amount of incoming, the amount of bells and whistles, the amount of tools, the amount of do I use the 4.6 or the 4.7 in Claude? Should I use ChatGPT, Gemini? Wait, why isn't anybody using Coworker? I have a bot. It can be a lot. So what I hear you saying, and this is what I hear with organizations that are doing this well, the owner first has to get fired up and take one workflow and master that. And then, so it's kind of a program of attraction, not promotion. All of a sudden, my God, Shad isn't even in the office and he answered that text in 30 seconds with the answer that I needed. How did that happen?
That's exactly what it is. And I think it comes down to the fact that leaders lead.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very interesting. I've always been this way. I've always been with a franchise model. I've always been doing it this direction. And I think so many brokers went the other way starting in 2014, where they wanted to be 100% houses, hands off, let all the tech runs the agents, all this, Jetson push button stuff. And now the agents are figuring out that they have no leadership because nobody's leading. And so that's my job. You are either lead or you produce. And that's my job, is to lead. So my job is to know this stuff. My value proposition to the agents is to be able to lead them into this new future and tell them what is worth their time, tell them what isn't,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of that happening. It's a very interesting space right now. And it's very interesting to see where some of these generations that everybody was betting were going to live their life in their phone.
Mm-hmm.
The millennials grew up. They stopped drinking their soy double decaffeinated half calves and got rid of their top knots, and now they want to own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Gen Z's going that way from their 20s. So the tech is there, but they don't want to interact with it.
Well, it was interesting. I saw a YouTube clip of someone was giving a commencement address. I don't know where, some university, some college. And the minute she mentioned AI, the boos from the students were overwhelming. And let me ask you about this, because this is a theory I have. Part of the reason they're resisting it is that generation, right? I mean, they got slammed with the internet. They've been marketed to since they're a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is real. Everything is for sale. Even the dating apps are designed to get them on the algorithm, not find a date, keep spending money. So there's this huge tech capitalistic system that says, hey, use us, and we're going to make money off you. Then social media comes along and says, okay, I'm going to put this fake picture of me and get enough. And AI comes along and they're like, oh my God, enough already with you guys. And yet, let me ask you about this. Do you think AI can be the great equalizer for small to medium-sized brokerages to compete against the Compasses and the Keller Williams because of the power of it if used correctly?
Okay, so I think the key to that phrase that you just said, if used correctly. So I've always believed, and I've said this for years, it's technology in addition to the human relationship, not instead of.
Right.
And I think so many people are going the instead of route right now.
Mm.
And I think that is the mistake because the consumer doesn't want it. Recently, Wendy's employed an agentic AI at their drive-through. Oh my gosh, the backlash has been
Mhm.
monumental. All of these things, you'd think companies would learn from their mistakes, but they don't. We all hate the phone tree when we call somebody, right? If you
Mhm.
want this, press 1. If
Right.
you want this. Yeah, and I will tell you, back up a little bit. One of the things I miss is the ability to slam down the phone receiver because
Mm.
you can't do that nowadays. You can't angrily push a button, but so they don't want that. Why would they want to talk to an AI? So these companies are.
I'll push back though a little bit on that,
Go
Shad,
ahead.
because all right. So, because I had the same thing, right? Like I would be on a website trying to fix something. You talk to the chat bot, it would bring you to the FAQ. You're like, this is not answering the question. Like, you're wasting my time. I don't want this. Well, I was on Stripe recently
Okay.
and trying to figure out something about an invoice or how to do something. I got stuck. And the AI agent, which was a voice agent, actually walked me through and actually solved the problem that I had. Like literally it would say, I see your screen, press on that button up here. And what I realized in certain circumstances, I'd
Yes.
rather not have a relationship with a human being. In others, I always want a relationship with a human being.
And I
to your
think
point,
that
it's where do you find that balance?
correct is if I don't. So it's speed, number one. It's can it solve the problem or does it eventually dump me to a human anyway? So now it
Mhm.
wasted my time. The second thing is there are going to be certain transactions we're going to do, and I believe personally real estate is going to be one of those till the end of time, where there's so much emotion, there's so much chaos that the algorithm isn't going to be able to handle it. And correct me if I'm wrong. Your problem with Stripe was a very if this then that problem.
But yeah, it was a technical on the website. I need to
Correct.
figure out how to send out a link.
Which is where the algorithm shines. Ones and zeros. Okay? The problem is when the ones and zeros don't work and it's a
Correct.
0.5 or a 0.7, the algorithm's going to break. And it's one of those things that I think real estate, again, everybody, we stopped making phone calls in real estate when email showed up. Just email, right? And the business was worse because of it. Technology needs to be employed as the Robin to the Batman, not Batman. And that's the problem with most people is they're always looking for the way to do it quicker, faster, and with me sipping a cocktail on the beach and not actually realizing that this is a relationship business. And, I don't want to necessarily say that that's what's happening right now in the business, but, look at the acquisitions that have happened. If tech could do it by itself, Compass, Real, and EXP would have not acquired franchise models.
Right.
Why would they?
So, yeah. So let me ask you this. The way that I frame it is AI should let you do more of what you love and less of what
Correct.
you don't.
Correct.
And so the first thing I feel is important is just to ask people, like, what part of this business do you absolutely love? Like, what fires you up? Can AI support me in getting in front of more people, having more conversations? What don't you like? Oh, I don't like drip marketing. I don't like having to go in on Saturday and send out. I don't like blogs. I don't like this. Okay. So in your workflow, Shad, what in the last 3 years, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
what AI tools have you put into your personal workflow that have made your life a lot easier?
So I use them. Honestly, I use Perplexity, I use Claude, I use ChatGPT and Gemini. And I use them all for very, very specific tasks because I think that the models are all built completely differently. So I use Claude for writing because Claude has the ability for me to put my own writing into Claude so that then Claude will write more as me. Okay. And that is one of the things I use Claude for. I use Gemini for everything having to do with visuals. Nano Banana is fantastic, but I use all of it basically to stay consistent with reach out, marketing, and those kinds of tasks. Anything administrative, I absolutely use it for. One of the things I do that's old school. So I'm kind of like you. I have 102 agents, 5 offices that I run. And I send out gratitude notes every single month to a select group of that agents from January to September, because in September we start the Christmas cards and the whole 9 yards. All analog. Okay, all analog. Where the AI has helped me is in January, I have it design 25 different gratitude messages. So now I'm not sitting here thinking about what should I write. I'm writing one of those or a mixture of 2 of those. So, and then it helps me take the agent list and it breaks it up for me into, so many from this office, so many from that office to accomplish the goal of being done by September 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And then I write the letters and it can't mail them for me, but if it could, I would. But I think that's the other thing that people need to understand is This is all administrative work. The administrative work that you all hate, this is where AI flourishes.
So,
And yeah, it's just that's what it's for.
got it. So, what specific workflows? So, the way I always look at it, right? There's the job description, and within any job description, there's a series of tasks, and those tasks lead to the workflow. And I like to frame it in black, white, and gray. So, black is what AI should always do, right? The text that comes saying, "Hey, Gus, you have an appointment at the doctor tomorrow." AI can do that 100% of the time. Sitting in front of the doctor, him telling me what the results are of the scary test, I always want that to be the doctor. But there's a huge gray area in between that's constantly changing. And just because AI can do it,
Right.
should it do it?
Right.
If I love doing it, I don't want AI to do it. I wouldn't want, listen, I could probably create an avatar to do these podcasts. I love doing
Correct.
this. I'm
Correct.
never going to want it's what I like to do. So what workflows and tasks have you created for yourself that the agents got most excited about once they saw what you were doing?
So the agents got super excited about the, being able to reach out, doing the 33 touches a year to their sphere. Okay. Being able to automate as much of that as possible and literally in December have all of that done for the following year. And now they can do the tasks they like. So the text messaging, the stuff that's automated in that reach out, the phone calls they want to do, they love to do. Okay. The handwritten cards they love to do. But the emails, the text messages, all of that is automated and done. Doing things like using, getting into Google and really understanding what Gemini can do for you inside Gmail. When I come in the morning, I might have 24 emails, and I'm a test monkey for Google. I'm part of their like little beta test, okay?
Right.
Which anybody can sign up for, just so you know. And one of the things that are underneath every one of my emails is a suggested response from Gemini. I can click it in. If I like it, great. I can add to it or whatever. My emails take minutes instead of hours. And my response is, I'm the only guy that has a completely empty inbox. And that's one of the things that the agents are really loving, because on the fly, they can hit that reply. If the reply makes sense, add a couple things to it, bang, they're gone. The thing about AI is it's going to save you seconds. They're going to stack up into minutes that are going to stack up into hours. And that's just anything that's customer facing, though, anything that really requires true interaction is where you want to stay away from. That's the gray area that people make the mistake of and make the, like you said, making an avatar. Okay, well, that's bad news. It just is in a lot of ways.
So the drip marketing, which everybody hated. And as you know, Shad, I remember for years and years and years, no matter how many systems we designed, hey, we're going to come buy pizza. Everybody's going to come and send out 10. It was a nightmare. It just didn't happen. But within that drip marketing, are you guys doing anything with predictive analytics?
We're using that system right now, and a lot of that's built into Remax's back end, and it'll be interesting to see what Real adds to that once we get into their tech stack. But yeah, the predictive analytics piece of it, I have an agent that speaks 4 languages, and now he can translate all of his stuff into those 4 languages to go in there. So yeah, it's the biggest thing about AI is honestly getting the agents to just replace one thing at a time. And that's the big thing.
Exactly. Here, there's a lot of, this is fun, Shad. By the way, I'm having a great time, because everybody in my life, I start talking about AI, their eyes roll into the back of their head.
Yeah.
Gus, stop it already. It's such a wild space to be in. Where do you decide whether to use a third party like Fellow, Fello has a really, right? They have a great predictive analytics. It's $400 a month with 7% of your database is going to move, blah, blah, blah. Where do you decide to implement a third party, build it yourself, or wait and see what results other people are getting?
So I look at it from an ROI standpoint. Honestly, a lot of things we don't build ourselves. There's no ROI in it once you start getting into because the speed to market and everything else, a lot of times it's better to use a third party. Like right now, we use a third party for Google business profiles and AI optimization of our agents' digital footprint. because it's cheap at 3 times the price, and I'm not going to invest 100 hours in doing that with every single agent. And they'll manage it for very, very quick. And really, to tell you the truth, that's the space where we're really digging in right now. Is
Is what the G
AEO, the GEO, the whole. I had an epiphany about 3 months ago. Driving to work, wife calls me on the phone, went over a pothole, big old crack in her windshield. Okay. And I have Gemini in my car through my Google CarPlay. Um, so I grabbed onto Gemini real quick and I said, hey, what's the average cost it should cost me to fix a cracked windshield in a Hyundai Tucson 20 blah? And Gemini gives me this price range and it said, would you like me to find you a provider? I said, no, just give me the nearest Safe Light. Okay. Because we all know the jingle, right? Safe Light repairs. So,
right.
yeah. So it goes, not a problem. I can do that. But I notice you live in Zephyr Hills, Florida, because it knows my home button in my GPS.
Sure.
It goes, there's a provider in Zephyr Hills that has a 4.9 star rating. They're not going to make you bring the car in. They'll come to you. And they're $200 cheaper. Would you rather this?
Chad, you're talking my language now. That's your aha moment with the GEO and the recognition that. And here's the beautiful thing about it, Chad. As you know, your Gemini knows you better than your wife probably. Every
Correct.
website, every purchase, every conversation, everything you've ever done for 20 years. So now, here's the interesting thing though. This came up, this is a little sidetrack. So Amazon doesn't want to let bots on their website because they want human eyes on their website. Because if I go on there to buy pickleballs and I go, oh, let me get some socks, and you know what, my mom needs a back cream, and all of a sudden I bought 9 things.
Right.
Where if I send my bot out to get pickleballs to Amazon, and it
Pickleballs,
says, hey,
here you go.
Gus,
Right.
yeah, or hey, Gus, you can get them from Franklin for $2 cheaper. I put the order in for you because I know blah, blah, blah. In terms of an agent, and this is what I'm really curious to know, Shad, agents have ideal client profiles, right? Some people love working with first-time home buyers. It's just they love that whole thing, young kids, that's their jam. Other people love working with people who are downsizing or maybe lost a parent and they're very compassionate in that space, or new construction or whatever it is. Do agents understand the importance of really positioning everything around their IC so that 2 years from now, when someone's moving down to Tampa for the first time with 2 young kids and they go, who should I use? They end up in that agent's world.
Well, the good news is I can tell you mine do.
Good.
Because I'm beating them over the head with it every 13 seconds. There's 2 things that agents have used for years as throwaway tasks. One being the public remarks in a real estate listing, right? I mean, how many of them just reiterate what's already in the listing? This 3-2 house, and you're right. And then testimonials, okay? Testimonials have been garbage for years. Shad looks like my nephew, and he was nice.
Right.
That doesn't work anymore. It doesn't move the needle. The AI is looking for specific keywords that common people use in common speech. Because searching with an AI is having a conversation with a friend. It's not typing something into Google. So things like light and bright, things like facing the east, and things that the MLS won't allow you to even filter by, the AI will. And the AI will also make decisions based on your photos. Is it light and bright? Well, let's take a look. So going forward, your GEO, your AEO, I mean, all of it, if you are an agent in this business, and you asked me previously, how do the boutiques compete? That's how they compete.
100%, Shad. And it's interesting. So few people are even thinking this way. So it's fantastic that your agents have you in there leading this charge, because think about the power of someone whose agent has recommended one of your agents. Are they going to go on Google and say, oh, no? They're going to look on there, and you're absolutely right. In those testimonials, if it says, I was a first-time home buyer moving from New York with my young kids looking to get into a great school, and Chad was whatever, and you keep piling those up, and then you're using AI to create social media content that constantly speaks to those 7 pain points of moving there for the first time, the things you didn't understand, how to overcome those pain points. This is the thing that excites me. I don't want to get off track here, but
No,
Small business, medium businesses were the backbone of this country.
correct. And this is now how they compete in the digital world. Yep. And most of them don't know it. Like, are you familiar with Google's local guide program?
Yes,
Okay.
I go on it all the time.
Fantastic. So I am a level 8 local guide. Okay. Millions of pictures, millions of reviews, whatever. So I actually asked Gemini the other day. I said, how much more do you trust a review from a local guide versus, just a review? It carries 50% more weight.
But now I'm having PTSD, okay? Do you remember Foursquare?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
when my kids were young, there was a pizza shop where I worked right near my office, right? So I'm telling all my agents, Foursquare.
Right.
You got to become the mayor of the building, the mayor of the building.
Yep.
I literally had a meltdown because I was going into this pizza shop every day. I was the mayor of this local pizza shop. And then someone beat me out as mayor. I think it was a dishwasher that was working there, so he was checking in twice as much. And then Foursquare disappeared, and all my mayors disappeared. So I love this Google Workspace because that ain't going. I mean, the Google
No, it's
local
not
guide,
good.
that
That's
ain't
what I
going
keep
anywhere.
telling my agents. Agents come to me all the time. Where should I put my testimonials? Zillow, rate my agent. I go, no. Google. Because Google's going nowhere. But the funny thing is now, I use that for my agent's benefit. So I go out to my agent's Google profile and I leave a testimonial. As a Google local guide, level 8, okay? I don't even understand. There's level 9, by the way, between level 8 and level 9 is like 50,000 reviews. Like 20,
Dude.
I'm like 26,000 into my 50,000 to get to level 9.
Listen, build a gem to start writing reviews for you on all the places.
Well, I tried, and Google
They
got
won't
their
let
stuff
ya.
together. No, they got their stuff
Okay.
together.
Okay, got
But this is what's really funny is, it does carry weight for my agents. My agents
Yes.
start seeing their Google business page start to maneuver. And that's why, like right now, the ones that are tech savvy are doing it themselves. The other ones, we have a third party provider that I'm good friends with the founder, and he basically, I'm like, look, do this yourself, pay Scott, take your pick.
Got it.
And it's funny because, I have agents now that have laydowns. They don't want a listing appointment. They just come list our house. And that is going to be where this business goes.
Well, and
in
Chad, I
a few years.
heard this, I forget where it was, but basically it said like, here's the scenario. I've got a party, the toilet breaks. I go on Google, there's 19 ads for local plumbers. I call them, they don't pick up. Finally, one of them picks up. He's out there fixing a toilet somewhere. He says, listen, I can come on Tuesday at 2:00. Well, the future is going to be, I go on my Gemini bot. I tell the problem. It finds the calendar for the local plumber who has an open slot in 2 hours. It texts his employee. His employee confirms that he can be there in 15 minutes. It gets solved and done. And now all of these other plumbers are wondering why their business is going down the tube 3 or 4 years from now.
Yep.
It's because these local guys figured out this game.
Well, and to circle back a little bit, when Gemini recommended the local windshield repair place to me,
Yes.
it said, would you like me to call them and set you an appointment?
Yes.
And I said, no, I need you to send this information to my wife. And it said, oh, so you want me to text this to Melissa or Riley, because that's my wife and my daughter. I said, Melissa. And it goes, great. Here's the text I'm going to send. I said, awesome, send it. My hands never left and I was done. And text even gave my wife, like, make sure to ask for this. Make sure they're going to redo your sensors. And I'm going, okay, this is going to change everything. And now that's really where I'm leaning in this space. I mean, yeah, the email writing is great. The blogging is great. The social media piece of it is awesome. The brainstorming piece of it is great. I sit have conversations with my AI assistant inside of ChatGPT. Her name's Val. She's British. I don't know why I picked that, but I did. And we have conversations about a ton of stuff, but the actual workflow of being able to get more done in less time, and that piece of GEO and AEO is going to be huge. I mean, that's what I'm teaching my agents right now is it's not enough to have Claude or Perplexity write your listing description. You need to ask it once it's done to optimize it for AI search.
Hmm.
That's the part that you need to get in there, because if not, it's not going to do it. And
All right. So let me ask you this. Now let's get
yeah,
to humans, right? And first of all, have you ever lost the most brilliant business plan you've ever written in some thread on chat where you have to go in and say, "Oh, wait a minute, how it's under this, where's the best Greek restaurant near me?" And there's, you get
in the beginning,
distracted.
in the beginning, yes, I did, 100%.
Yes. Okay, good. Yeah, and here was the other interesting thing. I'm curious how you do this. When the context
Hmm.
of your business plan or model changes, and the instruction you've given to your gem or whatever bot you're using, how have you sort of navigated changing the directions, changing the instructions? Like, what's your process for keeping your chatbot current with where you currently are in your thinking?
Listening, basically understanding that you need to tell it, erase everything we've ever talked about this subject, start from scratch. And so I use it a ton for recruiting content, right? The
Mm,
one thing that all brokers hate to do, recruit, recruit, recruit. So I use it a ton for that space. So I have to tell it when I'm writing a blog, no call to action in the bottom of this. This is not a
mm,
recruiting piece of content. Like, I
got it.
have to actually physically, and that's what I think people don't understand. The term for it in the tech world is GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. Okay. If you don't direct the AI, it's going to go on memory and basically do what it thinks it should do. And you have to be the one to tell it, this is a brand new project we're working on. I want you to completely erase anything you've thought we've ever talked about in this space and start from scratch. And then I ask it, do you understand? And then I'll make it explain to me, what does that mean? It means I'm only going to use what we talk about in this. Okay, great. And then I go from that way, because I not, like you said, losing things in a thread. I don't do threads anymore. I write projects, or I write
Hmm.
I write GPTs to do everything.
Right.
So that's the other way you can do it, is to write a GPT that's going to come at it
Hmm.
differently every time you plug in the relevant information. That's the other way to do it.
What I've taken to doing now is I'll have a Google folder with the docs in it,
Okay.
so that I take that document out, the business plan, and I'll say, okay, let's talk this through. And here's the other interesting thing. I've had to tell it, don't build me anything. Don't build
Correct.
me a deck. Don't build me a website.
Yep.
Like we're just brainstorming here. Nothing is written in concrete. But it is interesting that there is a learning curve to training it to sort of facilitate those kinds of conversations.
You're the guardrails. And
Yeah.
this is what I tell people all the time with AI, and this is my, again, my meaning. We'll circle back to tech in addition to, not instead of. If you don't know how to natively do it, you don't know how to tell the AI to do it effectively. That's the problem that most people aren't understanding. Yeah, if you just write a sentence, write me a blog, it'll write you a blog. But it doesn't understand audience, it doesn't understand tone, it doesn't understand reading level, it doesn't understand all those things. So if you're not good at writing your own blog, the AI is not going to necessarily be better.
Well, Shad, I'll give you a couple of things, and then I really want to talk about how. So let me do this first. My experience with technology, with myself and the people that I work with, is remember, forget. I have ChatGPT. Oh, I should do something. Then I forget it. Then it's succeed and fail. I got it to do this one thing and it kind of worked, and oh, I succeeded, but then I tried to do this other thing and it didn't work, and then I forget it. It's the implementation and mastery of it, that third piece where it is a part of my workflow. I'm using it every day. I'm getting enough value and success out of it that I can withstand the impatience of, like, they told me to build a bot, but now it's not doing what I want it to do. Like, how do I now retrain it? So what's your process for getting your agents from that, remember, forget to the implementation and mastery?
Be unafraid to fail. And I teach them a concept of iteration. None of this is going to be perfect the first time. It's going to be iteration, and you're constantly. And one of the things that the chat will do for you is, when you finally get it to, like, those threads we talked about, you're doing this whole thing, right? When you finally get it to doing the output you want, based on the output that I just got, please revise my prompt to get the same output every time. And it'll rewrite the prompt for you. And then you go from there. I think that a lot of people just get frustrated, and it's like any skill. It's like scripts. It's like anything. It's not perfection. It's progress. It's basically understanding that you don't win a year, you win a day, and just try again. And what's that old saying? Secret to life: fall down 7 times, get up 8. And that's how I teach them AI. Like, we go back with a very simple task. I'll give them a very simple task. We want to write a thank you note. And how do we go about that? And I'm big into self-discovery. So yeah, I could tell them how to do it, but if I help them self-discover how to do it in that group, then they actually learn. And that's the piece I think that most people don't understand, is the self-discovery piece of it, of iteration. Like you said, just go back, mastery, just keep going, understanding that, have you ever heard anybody tell you that FAIL is an acronym?
Probably, but go ahead, give it to me.
First attempt in learning. That's all failure is. Fail is a first attempt in learning. And that's some of the stuff that I've pushed on them for years. So I'm lucky in the fact that culture and methodology is already kind of built into the structure that I'm teaching with other things. So now it's just implementing AI into that structure.
Got it. I'll give you a good one. You ready, Shad? You're going to like this. I was struggling with my business, and I have a really good friend of mine, a guy named Gary Cady, who for 30 years, he would go into dental practices and basically double their business, right? He would go in and do a deep dive and, take them from 3 million a year to 6 million, and then teach them to cash out for 10 or 12. And now they're off and happy. And I was struggling, and he said, "Hey, Gus, let me ask you a question. What are your values? What's your vision? What's your purpose? Why are you doing this? Who are you doing this for? Who's your ideal client? What are their 7 biggest pain points? What words do you love? What words don't you love?" And I ended up coming up with this project called the source code.
Okay.
And I end up, when I'm working with people, actually talking to them, because talking, we reveal something that wouldn't just get revealed in writing, like this conversation, right? We don't have time to think about how I should say this or that.
Yep.
We're flowing. We're having fun.
Right.
And through that source code, then everything from their social media, everything for their outreach, everything for their newsletter gets fed through that source code, which is just a bot.
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, I go, "Hey, write 3 LinkedIn posts for me about GEO."
Yep.
And then I look at it and I go, this is way too long. Let's break it up into 3 posts now. And it sounds like me, and it sounds like the words that I use, and it never uses words I don't. AI implementation. Like, I don't talk like that.
Right. Exactly.
It's just not my thing. Now, other people, it might be natural to them. So what do you think about that idea?
I think that idea is fantastic. I think building an avatar, and again, that's why I use Claude, because Claude's really good at that.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's really funny. I noticed something about 3 weeks ago when I was using Claude, that for some reason it kept misspelling the word believe. Okay.
Yes.
And I was like, what? Apparently I misspelled the word believe an awful lot.
So I got you. Yeah. So mine kept signing my emails Gus Ponting, Ponting, and my last name is Wait. Now, have you ever gotten in an argument with your Claude? Said, "Listen, I've told you 9 times my last name is Wait. Where is this?" And it's like, "I'm trying to find it. I don't know where it is." Or when it kind of like it's going down that road, it kind of throws in the towel and goes, my bad. I can't actually do what you're asking me to do.
Right. Mine kept calling me Chad. And then it switched to Chet. It's like, Is it Chet? And I'm like, no, like, it's not any of that. Yeah. So I think that's one of the bigger things. And so one of the things, it's really funny. I think I do AI backwards when I teach people. I teach people to talk to it first.
Right.
Because you get a lot more out of it with
100%.
the voice function than you do with trying to write a prompt.
Do you use WhisperFlow?
No, I've never used WhisperFlow.
Do you know what it is?
No, unfamiliar.
Shad, write it down. It's a third party. Basically, what it is I double tap on the globe on my computer
Okay.
and it listens. And wherever I'm talking, email, whatever, it puts it in there, but it takes out the ums. It takes out, like if
Okay.
I said, hey, we're going to meet together next Tuesday. Oh, no. We're going to meet actually on Monday. It will take that out so that it'll just say, hey, we're meeting on Monday. So it takes out all of the weird stuff.
Okay, so it takes out all of the thinking, what they call thinking stutters.
Exactly. It takes out the ums,
Whisperflow.
it takes out the, I was thinking, it takes out all of that. And the other thing I love about it, it's, you know how sometimes in different interfaces, the microphone isn't working the correct way? Like, right, you're in different places and it's all weird. This just lives in one place. I put the
Gotcha.
cursor where I want it to go, and then I just hit the button and that text goes in there. And I have found that to be really useful
Whisperflow.
because
Okay.
I don't talk. I mean, I don't type anymore.
Well, that is, most people don't understand that, like, even on my laptop, there's a microphone built into it. I
Yes.
don't type emails. I don't in Gmail, I just dictate anymore. That's interesting. Whisperflow. Okay. I'll have to take a look at that. That sounds pretty killer. My big aha recently has been Base 44.
Tell me, what's Base 44?
Base 44 is an agentic AI that builds you apps.
Like Lovable?
Sort of, but I've found it to be much more resilient and expandable. Base 44 is. So I'm working right now on an app for my agents for accountability, and so that I can give it to all the agents so they can be all, and so they can see who's winning on their goals for the week and everything else. And
Does it
so
include an electric collar where you can shock them?
No, but well, and it's interesting. That accountability group's actually fully run by agents. I'm actually not allowed to show up.
Wow.
It's all them. It's all them keeping each other accountable. But they wanted some kind of a central thing. And so I looked into how to do it like Lovable, and I found Base 44.
Wow.
Base is for making dashboards, for making, all that kind of stuff. Base is just, so I'm digging into Base 44 pretty heavily right now. And luckily, there's another Remax broker that's done some pretty amazing things with it. So we're meeting next week to go over and kind of cross notes. But yeah, Base is pretty cool stuff. So Whisperflow, okay, I'll have to check that one out.
So this is what I love about this space, right? And you know what else I love about even Demis Hassabis, Sam Altman, all of these guys, they don't know where it's going. And anybody that says they know where this thing is going or what's happening is just not in the game. And I think you really hit it on the head, Shad. What is my workflow? What is one thing I really don't want to do that I know I should be doing? Find a way to do it and perfect that first, right? Like really get that one little thing down so I'm using it every day. It's giving me enough value that if I hit the wall with it and there's a problem, I want to solve that problem because I like what it's doing. And then just stack those little wins on top of each other. So give me your 5 favorite workflows that have been taken over by AI in the last 3 years.
My email, my calendar. I honestly don't set appointments or anything anymore. I use, you're familiar with Calendly? So Calendly handles all of that for me now, which my agents love because there's no more of this back and forth. Are you available on Tuesday? Are you available on Wednesday?
Right.
It's fantastic. Calendly is amazing. I mean, honestly, ChatGPT for brainstorming, right? Looking at brainstorming, and where ChatGPT also really does really well is I use it for, in our business right now, we're getting a lot of bespoke contracts from investors and all these other people because of the state of the market. So I use chat to analyze those things and summarize them. So I'm not reading a 20-page document trying to figure out where the pitfalls are. That's the thing that I use that for. I use Gemini for all media development, for social media and all of that stuff. And it allows me to schedule it all and get it all out and be consistent with it. So that would be what, 3? Probably
That's 4.
That's 4. The 5th, well, I mean, I use so many stuff. The other thing that I use is not really AI. It's a tactile device. Are you familiar with Plod?
Yes.
I have a Plod.
Baby, now you're talking my language.
And I'm really interested right now. You're familiar with Remarkable?
No.
It's an e-ink tablet. It's mainly for tactile writing. Like, think of it like a moleskin notebook that never goes away.
Right.
Well, there's a company called iFly that built Plod, a version of Plod, into that tactile tablet. And that's my next big pickup. I can't live without my Plod. And the fact that it magnets onto the back of my phone and gets both sides of a conversation, and when I meet with an agent, it makes, and it's funny, again, like you said, workflow. I meet with an agent, I do a coaching session, right? Here's everything we talked about. I get back to the office, I'm able to send them the notes. Next steps, the whole 9 yards. And they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Thank you for taking the time. Yes, I took the time.
Love that, Shad. I feel like we could talk AI, agents, real estate all day long, man. I really appreciated this this conversation. So if anybody's looking to switch firms down there in Tampa or looking to buy or sell a home, how do they get in touch with you?
They can simply go to remaxalliancegroup.com and reach out to me, or they can email me personally at shad.boucher@remax.com.
All right, Shad. Listen, hang on for a minute. I want to talk to you after the show, but I really wanted to thank you for coming on. This has been a great conversation. And to all our visitors and what do you call it? People who watch your show. What do you call those people? Subscribers. Thank you for watching AI with a Heart, a Real Estate Reimagined. And remember, the only reason to use AI is to do more of what you love and less of what you don't. Thanks for watching. If you've got value from today's episode, hit subscribe, leave a comment. I'd love to know what you're thinking. If you're ready to turn what you love into your superpower and take what you hate off your plate, schedule your free AI discovery call. The link is in the description and pinned comment. I'm Gus Waite. Until next time.